All right, guys, welcome back into another episode of the show Baseball Podcast presented by Beyond the Monster. I am your host, Andrew Parker. Today's episode, we are dipping into the San Diego Padres organization. We have Will Varmette on. Will is fresh off winning the Player of the Week award there for Low-A for his start last week. And we dig into that and we ask him, obviously, he has been specifically in the bullpen over his professional career until this year. He has been transitioning to a starting role. So we obviously talked to him about his amazing start he had to win Player of the Week. And we talk about what he was doing over the offseason. He had a little surgery over the offseason. So we do talk about what that was like, having an adjusted offseason and kind of hanging around with some of the hurt guys maybe throughout spring. But before I go any further, whether you're watching me on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever it is you get your podcast, like, subscribe, thumbs up, whatever you got to do. Helps me out a ton. Always appreciate it. But without further ado, let me shoot you on to the interview with Will Varmette. All right. I am joined by Will Varmette of the San Diego Padres organization. Now, Will is fresh off winning a Player of the Week award there in Low-A for his performance last week, which that is actually right where I'm going to start this interview. You had a pretty good outing, probably the best outing this season, and then maybe even for last season as well. How did you feel? What was working that day?
I was feeling pretty good. Not one pitch in specific was feeling better than the others. It was just kind of all around the zone, and I was able to execute a couple good pitches, get a few good outs.
So I guess what in general, though, obviously, it was your longest outing of the season. You've kind of been building up a little bit for this. When did you kind of realize during the outing, you're like, okay, I think I can go 5, 6 innings today and get the job done?
Yeah, after probably the fourth inning, I knew my pitch count was pretty low, and I thought I would be able to, I felt pretty in control of the game, pretty confident. So I was like, yeah, I can go pretty deep in this game and hopefully save our bullpen staff a couple innings.
Yeah, and I also looked at some of your game logs this year, and you've done a little bit of both. You've started some games, you've come out of the bullpen, you've saved a game this year. I saw you pitch in the 10th for an outing as well.
Yeah.
How difficult is that, I guess, for any pitcher, honestly, to not have that set routine and just be like maybe one week you could be coming out of the bullpen in the 10th inning, or you could be starting a game. Like how difficult is that for a pitcher?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, the routine is so different. For the most part, though, I mean, once you get in the actual game, it's all the same. It's just it's still the batter, you're still pitching, but the routine is a lot different. I try to treat it pretty similarly because when I'm in the bullpen, I maybe throw in a game twice a week. So earlier in the week is almost like your bullpen, and later in the week's like the game, even though it's both in the game. And then starting is just the same. You've got a bullpen, and then you have game later in the week. Or for me, it's game early in the week, bullpen later in the week.
And something interesting that I've noticed as well is you already have more games started this year than you did last year combined between
Mhm.
low A and high A. So is that something new to you, I guess, necessarily? Because ever since you turned pro, you've pretty much been exclusively out of the bullpen and relief. So is that something that you've been slowly trying to get used to? And I guess are they trying to be like, hey, let's see what you look like as a starter?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. So even in college, I was just a reliever. And at the end of last year, they approached me and they're like, "Hey, we want you to kind of build up as a starter and just see what it looks like. If it's going bad, we can go back to the bullpen. If it's going good, then great, we'll just ride with it." So it's been a little bit of an adjustment trying to find my routine and get in the mental headspace to go out in there and compete just one day a week versus maybe two or three.
I feel like both starting and relieving, they both have their pluses and their minuses. Obviously, like you were saying, like a starter, you could get into an every fifth day routine and all this other stuff. But in the bullpen, you're used a little more frequently throughout the week.
Yeah, exactly.
What have you seen, I guess, as like a positive side of starting games?
Definitely just the structure of it. Knowing I'm going to throw on Tuesday every week has been very helpful for me. And just preparing, like, okay, I mentally just need to get ready for this lineup. I need to go get after them for 5 or 6 innings, however long. Versus bullpen, I'm like, oh, I might throw Tuesday, maybe I'll throw Wednesday. Then if I throw it in, I might throw Saturday or Sunday, but I don't really know. So the structure has been very nice.
Yeah, I always, I don't think a lot of fans like truly realize, some of you guys down, especially in the lower minors, like you said, you're starting some games coming out of the bullpen, and just that alone is like kind of tough to establish yourself. And then you're also working on certain pitches. You might be having usage goals, whatever it is
Yeah,
that the
exactly.
development staff wants you to hit. So that kind of leads me to your off season. Obviously, it was not your first off season. You've had a few of these now to kind of like know what a professional off season looks like. So
hmm
what did you use your off season for? Like what kind of things did you work on?
I was mainly trying to just focus on command and develop my changeup a lot during this offseason. But about halfway through the offseason, early December, I tore my meniscus. So I ended up having surgery. So I was back in Arizona doing rehab from January up until maybe the second week of April when I came to Lake Elsinore.
Oh wow,
hmm
I actually didn't know that. So your spring training was I guess a little different for you this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was spent with the rehab group, and it was really not too different. I essentially did the same things. I just kind of got pushed back about 3 weeks.
So how does in that when an injury like that happens, obviously it's not like well, it's still significant because it's the knee, and you obviously need your knees for pitching, but it's not
Yeah,
like a UCL or like a shoulder or like an arm to prevent you. So like how did
for sure.
you, I guess, obviously you were down in Arizona rehabbing, but how does
hmm
that like truly affect what you do day to day with a knee injury?
So it didn't affect. So my meniscus, they just clipped it and cleaned it up. So I was able to essentially walk out of the hospital that day
Oh,
when I got the surgery. But it did kind of affect some of the lifting, the running. Um, I wasn't able to throw off the mound for a while, so that kind of pushed my like build up progression back. And it almost affects your mechanics a little because my quad wasn't as strong, so I wasn't able to stop myself as well with my lead leg. Um, it was just a bunch of little things that kind of add up. It was nothing insane though. Really, the biggest thing for me was the running progression. That's what held me in Arizona the longest. I had to pass that before I was able to be put in games and then get sent out.
and when did you, obviously once you did take the mound again, did you have like, I always hear guys, obviously, like I know Tommy John's way different from a torn meniscus, but,
Yeah,
or any injury, but you hear guys like, I don't know if I can trust my elbow. I don't know if I can trust my shoulder yet. I had shoulder surgery. Like, did you have like a little time where you're just like, can I fully trust my knee right now? Is it still going? Like, did you have a moment like that?
No, not really. The rehab staff and the PTs in Arizona like gave me a lot of confidence, and the work I did with them gave me a lot of confidence to be able to go out and just throw and you not have to focus on it at all. So that
Okay.
was very helpful.
Yeah, no, that is, and obviously, like you said, you were out of the hospital the same day you were there, so it's one of those same day surgeries, and hopefully it wasn't too awful on the recovery time there, but so I guess now that you're into the season, you're fresh off a Player of the Week award. I know that's not something you probably went into the week saying I got to win Player of the Week this week, but it happened. You got recognized by minor league baseball. How cool
Yeah.
is that to see your name, on, minor league baseball posted on, all sorts of social media, to see your name with like some of the best in minor league baseball?
Oh, I did think it was pretty cool. I didn't think I would win it because honestly, I didn't even have the best performance on our pitching staff last week. I mean, we had a guy go 8 shutout innings, which is, in the lower levels of minor leagues is pretty unheard of.
Yeah.
But but then I saw it after you had texted me, and that's when I saw, and I did think it was pretty cool, and I was very appreciative of it.
Yeah, and I know, like I said, that's not something you're probably going into the week. You're like, I want to win that, but it happens. With that being said, though, obviously we're creeping closer to the All Star break, which is usually half mid season for
Mhm.
baseball. And for yourself, do you have any, let's say, goals, where they're statistical goals or like where you want to be, like anything? Do you have anything that you want to accomplish by mid season?
Yeah, so mine is I'm really trying to focus on my in zone percentage. So my command essentially is what I'm really focusing on. I really want to raise it a lot so I can continue to be a starter throughout my career, because usually a higher in zone percentage allows you to throw more strikes, stay in games later, lower pitch counts, and that's really my goal.
And have you, obviously with starting being so new to you, and I don't know if you had a chance during spring training when all the guys were around and you had starters from every level. Did you get a chance to like pick any guys' brains that, maybe starters in the org that maybe some helpful things for you as you are transitioning to starting?
Yeah, for sure. So in the rehab group with me was Matt Waldron, Brian Hoeing, Sean Reynolds, a couple of the big league guys on our organization, and they were very helpful, like just showing us how regimented their routine was and how structured it was, and just their consistency with it every single day. They were going out and doing their routine. They weren't necessarily concerned about random little things here and there.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's something too that like obviously once guys start progressing through the minors, say like you guys in Double A and they're in big league spring training for the first time and they're in a game and they got all these big leaguers by them, and I always find it so cool that you guys have chance to like pick some guys' brains who have made it to the show and that obviously have done it there and been successful there. So I feel like that's probably an invaluable experience that you had during spring this past year.
Yeah, for sure. It's great to spend time with those guys, and our big leaguers do such a good job. They're always around, like they're saying what's up to you in the hallways. They're trying to talk to you, like have small conversations. It's very cool.
All right. Well, I got a few questions left. It's a little. Some of them are a little random, so stick with
All
me
right.
here. Obviously, every Monday in minor league baseball is an off day, so obviously you get to do whatever you want to do on Monday, unless you guys are traveling through or whatever you're doing. But
hmm
let's just say you got a Monday off day and you're at home. What are you doing with your free time?
Oh man, I love to go golf.
There it is.
So I'll go find a good course. Maybe a few of our teammates will go, and we'll have a good time out on the course.
Yeah, that's probably the number one answer I get, especially from pitchers.
No, I figured. Yeah.
Every guy is golfing.
Uh-huh.
Was that something that you probably couldn't do for a little bit over the off season after the surgery? You were probably off for about a month or two.
Yeah, yeah. No, I couldn't golf for pretty much the whole rehab process, but after
Wow.
that, I've been enjoying it. So
Had to be
it's been
tough
fun.
being in Arizona without being able to golf.
I know, perfect weather, about 78 degrees every day. I was like, man, this
Yeah.
sucks, but it's all
It's
right.
so you're also a guy, you're from Alabama originally, I did see,
Yes, sir.
and
hmm
you're out on the West Coast now. So what has been something that was there any sort of have you ever first of all, have you ever been out west before being signed by the Padres?
No, I had never been past Dallas, Texas. So
Wow.
yeah,
So
so it's the
what
first
was
time
that
out west.
like?
It's crazy seeing the landscape for me because back home in Alabama, there's grass everywhere, the trees are green, and then once you get to Arizona, I mean, it is a desert, you know. The only green you see is some cactuses here or there. Maybe you'll see some grass on either the golf course or the field, but that's the number one thing. Like the landscape just looks so different when you're just walking around.
Yeah, it's a lot of brown, a lot of like it's very interesting. Obviously, it's like 110 degrees, and I know
Y-
Alabama
y-
gets hot. I know it
Yeah,
does,
yeah, but
but
Arizona gets hot, hot.
yeah.
That's a different level.
So now that you're out, obviously in California and
Mhm.
true West Coast, what have you had like any sort of like was there any like culture shock? Because I the it's very fast paced in California compared
Yeah,
to Alabama. Alabama is
it
very
is
slow. So what did you?
laid back.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, everybody drives so fast everywhere. Like stop signs, they're just rolling right through them. It's like, all right. Well, I don't know what's the big rush, but I will say the driving up through California on the 15 is beautiful. Getting to see all the mountains and stuff that are just north of LA. Oh my goodness. It's a beautiful drive.
So are you a fan or not of West Coast living?
I would say I'm a fan overall. I don't know if
Okay.
I would want to live here forever, but it's definitely been very cool the last 2 summers.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could survive out on the West Coast. I've lived in the Midwest, the East Coast, and South, and I've never
Okay.
really done like West or Pacific Northwest. I don't know if it's for me,
Yeah,
but
yeah. And everything's so expensive too, so I don't
yeah.
know. That might be the big turn away.
Yeah, it's tough, but there is something else I wanted to ask you about here. So
Mm,
I've done over 200 of these episodes where I talk to every single episode. I talk to a guy around minor league baseball or major league baseball on here, and
mm.
you are the very first one to come from Wallace State Community College. Can you kind of talk to me a little bit about it? Like, I don't know, like what the baseball scene was like there. Like, what was it like going there?
Oh man, it was awesome. It's a big like the baseball history is pretty rich there. So Craig Kimbrell went there as well.
Oh,
Derek Holland, another big leaguer, Zealous Wheeler, Chad Smith. So there's a good bit of guys I can follow in the steps of, which is awesome. But our coach, Coach Putman, he's been there for, I mean, 30 years. Yeah, man, he's a cool dude. He's an old cat, but he'll get after it with you.
I should have probably known. I should have heard about it by now if Craig Kimbrell went there. I don't know. I feel like that's not good on my part there. But
Oh no, I mean, it's such a small school, but for you to know that would have been
yeah, but the
impressive, you know.
roster you just named was pretty freaking good. I
Yeah,
feel
I
like it
mean,
should have been on my radar.
yeah, Coach Bowman, he's done a great job of getting guys in, and he really makes you like want to push yourself to the next level, and that I was very appreciative of him.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, it should have at least like I should have heard of it before. Like I honestly like half the time like I see a guy and I think the last episode I did was like Oklahoma Sooner like so I was like okay like obviously that but yours was
Yeah,
a new one
exactly.
so
Uh-huh.
um it is cool. All
No,
right,
small school, so.
I got one question left for you here.
Hmm.
So we talked about it. Obviously you won Player of the Week last week. You got some goals that you want to try to hit by midseason. So obviously minor league baseball, it's a grind, and
Hmm.
there's a ton of different stops before you finally get up to the majors. Um, I want to ask, like, for a guy like yourself that has experience now in low A and high A, how hard is it for you to just try to stay level minded, to just know that, like, you got to be where your feet are? You might say, or you might think, like, oh, I probably deserve to be at this level. Or, some guys, like, they're playing very well and they're like, I deserve to be in double A, triple A, whatever it is. How hard is it for a minor leaguer and for yourself to just kind of be like, it's not in my control. I got to stay where my feet are and I just got to keep playing ball and then everything else will get taken care of.
No, yeah, I mean that is a constant reminder. Like I have to tell myself, and I'm sure many other guys do. Is like just you're here, be here. I don't want to worry about, oh, this guy's gonna get moved up, so I might get moved up. But it is tough, you know. I mean, obviously your goal is to move up, and that's where you want to be. And if you don't, I mean, I guess what are you here for, you know? So it is tough to stay where your feet are, but it's a good reminder. And I've really seen performance differences with myself when I'm thinking like that. When I'm thinking like, oh, I need to try to get moved up to high or get moved up to double A like this fast. But then my performance starts slacking and it's like, all right, why am I, why do I even think like this? But it is hard. It is hard.
Yeah, I feel like it's incredibly difficult because I've talked to so many guys that just seem like they're playing as just about as good as you can, and it's like they're still not getting called up, and they seem like they're just trying to play GM in their head, and it's just like it won't go anywhere. Like it's tough, but I
Yeah,
feel like it's a very
exactly.
hard aspect of a minor league baseball.
No, yeah, and you really don't realize it until like I guess you found out by interviewing guys, but like I'd never even thought about it before I signed, you know. So it was a new thing, but I think I'm getting a lot better at, I'm here. I just need to take care of my business here. If I do my thing here, then it'll all the rest will solve itself.
It's what makes baseball so unique because there's no other sport. I guess hockey is sort of like it, but
Yeah,
say
so
like the NFL draft, right? If a guy gets drafted or even an undrafted free agent, he can make the opening day roster for, any NFL team. It's just
yeah,
like baseball
exactly.
is not like that. Nothing close. So,
No, it's like
uh,
well, most first round, like maybe a first round pick here or there, like Jack Cagliano just got called
yeah,
up, like here or there, a guy gets up, but like for the most part, I mean, there's our first rounders in low A too with us, so it's like, you know,
yeah.
it's a fight.
It is. It's a grind. I don't know how else to describe it other than a grind. But All right, Will, I appreciate all the time. Obviously, wishing you the best of luck going forward in
Yeah.
2025. And obviously, we'll be chatting soon, hopefully. But thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on again.